Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out XRP's price chart and see what is going on specifically in this area, and can we actually argue maybe in Ripple we have hit our final low right in here. So are you ready? Let's dive in and see what is going on. And first things first, I'm not really sure if you are a fan of classic patterns, but if you like them, I guess okay, this can be a head and shoulder structure. However, you probably know what I'm going to say, right? You see, this pattern at the moment at least is not confirmed yet. I think you need to be a bit more patient and see XRP getting a break of our neckline right in here between, let's say, 2.86 to around $2.88. And by breaking it, I don't really mean just going straight above it. No, we need to go above the line, sure, but after it, we need to see a consolidation pattern in here and then another move up in order to take this high. And the moment that we do that, we can say, you know what, this head and shoulder is confirmed. And if we're going to do it, okay, what can be a likely target for it? You need to put your chart on regular scale and then measure the height of your pattern from here to about this point and put it at your breaking point. There we go. This is giving you like a $3.10 XRP, which I do think can happen, and we may very well see a move on the upside. Question though, is that going to be my primary case? You see, here is what I have to say. Even if we go up in XRP, I am still at that point going to tell you, look, you need to be a little bit careful because something really interesting is going on in here. Why is that? You see, if you want to say that, for example, we're going to have our final low around this area, maybe this is like a very important support, then okay, fair enough. Show me off of the lowest low in here, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, in order for me to be able to be bullish and call this point our final low with a decent bit of confidence. Now, this specific structure is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave. Wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and when it comes to the sub waves, you know it. 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. There we go. And for wave 2 and 4, for our corrective movements, we can have different scenarios. It's not really that important. Let's say ABC into wave 2 and a WXY structure into wave 4. Now, you can also have other kinds of 5 waves, and in this specific case, I think we should also talk about having a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, which in it, this is going to be our initial move up into 1, and it has to be the biggest wave in this structure, followed by correction for wave 2, another phase up into wave 3, it must be a smaller than 1, correction for 4, it has to be a smaller than wave 2, and pay attention, unlike this impulsive movement, in here we must have overlapping of the waves between our corrections, and this is our final move up into wave 5, which has to be the smallest wave. Now let's go on the live chart and exercise what we have learned so far. So here's the deal. How exactly are you able to find from here to about this high, even this point right here, a 5 wave? If you want to argue that we have completed a 5 wave to around here, okay, fair enough. I guess you can say maybe this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, and followed by that, I don't know, let's say like this is going to be an ABC flat, and overall and on a higher degree, you can say, you know what, this is 1, 2, and what's next? Good move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5, which may sort of kind of get confirmed the moment that we get a decent break of that neckline that we talked about earlier. Now, you can also consider having in this area a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, and in that scenario, maybe this is going to be 1, this is 2, and then wave 3 correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, since as you can see, we do have clearly overlapping of the waves between our corrections. Question is, just because I'm able to find a 5 wave off of the lows, does this mean I should be like overwhelmingly bullish and call this point our final low with absolute certainty? For two reasons, no. Number one, There is no certainty in any market at any given moment. We are talking about different possibilities. And if you are a fantastic trader, I promise you, your win rate is going to be somewhere around, let's say, 62 to about 65%. In other words, out of 10 times, you are only going to get it maybe 6, maximum even 7 times, right? And at least 3 or 4 times you are going to get it wrong. So please, let's not be overconfident. Let's know who we are. We are just average traders in here. Reason number 2 for why I'm not necessarily optimistic in here. You see, pay attention to the last leg down in XRP, and as you can see, between these two lows, this one is actually the lowest low, and here is the key point for my analysis. I don't really think that I'm able to find a 5 wave in here. In fact, this looks an awful lot like an ABC zigzag, generally some sort of a 3 wave movement. So why is this important? Because this actually opens the door to probably having an ABC flat, which looks like this. This is our initial move up into a correction for wave B, which in this phase, we are going to get extremely close to this initial low. In some cases, we are even going to take it, no problem at all. And then another move up into wave C. And in most cases in here, we are going to take the height of our A leg. And in terms of the subwaves, ABC up into A, ABC, or maybe WXY down. From my POV, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into our C leg. And in situations where for our wave B, we have taken this initial low. Well, okay, what do you have off of the lowest low? A 5 wave up, and that may fool you into believing, you know what, the bottom is in, but pay attention to the previous move. And if it's going to be a 3 wave movement, you might be in a spot of trouble. And unfortunately, in XRP, we do actually have a 3 wave movement down, and it is like really hard for us to be able to find a 5 wave in here. And I'm not going to say it's absolutely impossible. Sure, personally, I don't really see it, but it is, let's say, possible to a degree that is going to make me say, you know what, it looks really ugly and it shouldn't be our primary case. So what is it that I'm trying to tell you? You see, I'm trying to say in XRP, there's like a very good chance this whole move up, even if it's going to continue in the short term, it's going to be a correction structure and not an impulse, suggesting after it's over, we are going to have another move down in order to take the lowest low down here for the first target around $2.7 region. But I don't really think that we are going to stop there. In fact, I'm going to say we are probably going to continue our move down a little bit more. Why is that? You see, in the previous videos about XRP, I was constantly saying that please have your eyes on this very important slow down here about $2.72, because as long as we are not taking it, we can count on some more chopping around in order to complete the subwaves for an ABCDE, a triangular structure, and then we can have the next beautiful phase of the bull run. On the other hand, we said if we take it, that is going to open the doors to having an ABC zigzag, and in terms of the subwaves, we're gonna have 5 wave down into wave A and C, and for our B leg again, we can have different counts. Let's say sure WXY, and if I just go on the live chart, okay, now that we have taken the lows, well, okay, we can say maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down, followed by a clear-cut ABC on the upside, and this can be another 5 wave down. And based on what we talked about earlier, seems like our 5 wave is not actually complete yet, and we are going to continue our move. And do we have some more reasons to believe that might happen? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. You see, whenever you are having an ABC zigzag, in the initial phase, you're going to have 5 wave down, followed by a correction up. Now, right around the highs, if you want to know whether the next move is going to be like a big one down or not, you need to actually pay attention to this important phase up and see how deep of a pullback are we potentially going to get. Are we going to, for example, retrace to about the 88-90% of the Fibonacci retracement? Okay, if we do so, then that means there's actually a balance between bears and bulls. And sure, we may very well see a move down, but odds are it's not really going to be that deep. On the other hand, If, for example, we only retrace to about the 38 or even let's say 50% level, that means bears are quite powerful and bulls, at least in the short term, are nowhere to be seen, meaning what? The next move down is going to be kind of a big one. Now, what do we have in here? If you want to say that in XRP, excuse me, let's zoom in more. This is 5 wave down, this is correction up. Okay, fair enough. Let's just see where are we in terms of retracements. Okay, we retraced to about the 61.8% level, and we did go a bit higher than that. So let's go actually very optimistic and say we even retraced to about the 78% level. At that point, the target for the next phase down in Ripple is going to be reaching to about the 1.27 of Fibonacci extension, which is giving you what? The lower band of this unbelievably important area around the $2.5 region. And that, my friends, is a very, very important reason for why I'm telling you, look, in XRP, be a bit more patient, because odds are, number one, we are probably having in this region a correction as Russia, and number two, even if we get a move up, it's not necessarily going to be an optimistic sign, and number three, our move down is going to continue even after we get a move on the upside, in order to maybe have like a 10 to even 15% move on the downside. And I'm really hoping that we are not going to get a break of this level. I'm not really that pessimistic. I do think we're going to go to about the lower band of it, but then I'm hoping that we get a very strong bounce back, and by that I mean a 5 wave up without a lot of overlapping of the waves, in order for me to be able to be like extremely bullish. So in the short term in XRP, not necessarily optimistic. Overall, the bull case is absolutely intact. Do not really worry about us. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in XRP's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything but. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.